You've been everybody else's first project, but when are you going to start being your own? I'm NeshaDanay, and this is I Am My First Project, where we have real and uncomfortable conversations about why you're constantly staying stuck. As a resilience coach, I'm here to show you that most people prefer to be stuck in familiar bondage than unstuck in unfamiliar growth. And if that triggered you, keep watching. So if you're tired of staying stuck, I have a 4-week program that's opening up in January 2026. You get to work with me and we get to build the life that you want to build. Click the link below and let's get to getting unstuck. Hey girls, I am so glad that y'all are back. Last week we got in my business a little bit and we were talking about when God is distant. And today we're talking about love lessons from a serial relationship girl. And that's me. We're talking about me. This is such an opportunity for y'all to get into my business and understand a little bit more about where the root or the origins of NeshaDanay comes from and why I cultivate and coach the way that I do. So, quick update about this. So how it goes is 14 to 25, I was in relationships. That's all I knew. I stuck in relationships from a very young age, and that was my safe haven. That was my safe spot. It was the thing that made me familiar, made me comfortable, and made me for so long. My identity was lost in the idea of having a person. And I don't know about y'all, but sometimes there's moments where you can probably think about, this is me. She's talking about me. And if it is, get real comfortable and uncomfortable with the fact that I'm bringing you into my story, but I want you to see this story for you. As always, this podcast is the podcast that I needed, but this is also the podcast that you needed. So we're going to see 10 years of me running in this relationship. Every single one is going to teach me something. And this isn't to bash any of these men. All of these men played a part in my story, and I'm very grateful for the part that they played. Even if it feels like I was the victim, or they were the victim, or I was the bad guy, or they were the bad guy, in reality, it's all a part of the process. And now I have a blueprint to help so many other women because I took what was meant to destroy me, make a mess out of the story, and made a message from it. So, you know, I got my notes, okay? I'm a little certified. So, relationships aren't always Instagram perfect. And we live in a society that loves to romanticize all of the beautiful things in relationship. The trips, the rings, make it seem like it's all about what this person can do for you. Very transactional society that we live in. But what about when you use that relationship as your crutch, or you use that relationship as your kryptonite? The only thing that has or holds some type of weight or personality for you. For so long, my personality was whoever I was a part of. They were who I shaped myself to be. Not anything of who I am, not my own identity, but them. So today, I am a huge Marvel fan, and so all of these characters, people that I've dated and been with, are definitely going to be named after a Marvel story. So just make sure that you pay attention to the names, because when I recall the story, I need you to be able to stay with me, okay? But what I want you to understand is, again, it's not a bashing session, it's a lesson. And I want you to recognize the patterns that I had to recognize in my own relationship, but I want you to recognize them in your relationship. So if you see yourself in these relationships, this is the purpose of this episode. It's for me to pull you in and for you to understand, like, that is me. Oh my gosh, she's exposing me. I want you to feel exposed. I want you to see the patterns that you've been holding so true to yourself, because I was on the couch crying when I figured out this for myself. So let's cry together. All right. So let me get comfortable as I get into it. So again, we're going to talk about 6 different relationships, and we're going to talk about how each of them played a role in my story. We're going to talk about each of them and how they pulled me into a 10-year cycle. And yeah, let's get into it. So we have the first boyfriend. I had my first boyfriend at 15. We're going to call him Loki. And he's going to be the first betrayal. There's not too much to say about this relationship, except it was the typical high school relationship. You meet somebody, you're interested in them, and it is so exciting. Like, Do you remember that time that boy liked you and you were like, oh my gosh, girl, he likes me? Yeah, that was me. I was fangirling. I was like, oh my goodness, he wants to be with me. This is so exciting. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be, girl, because it taught me a very valuable relationship that was going to shape a lot of my relationships later on in life. So I learned how to be loved wrong. I learned the art of betrayal. With this person, unfortunately, I got cheated on multiple times and I stayed. Some of them were private, some of them were publicly, but I knew the girls. I knew his exes. They were in my dance class or my track class. I was new to the neighborhood or new to the school, and I was like, this is great. So you get a text message from one of them saying, oh, so-and-so said this to me today. That's embarrassing. You stay because they gaslight you or manipulate you, or, we're in high school at the time, so just kind of going with the flow of things. And it's like, this doesn't feel that great. But this is my first boyfriend, and he said that he loved me. And yeah, when they say that they love you and their actions don't show that they love you, but I didn't know that at the time. So where do you see that in your life right now? The pattern of being loved or somebody saying they love you, but their actions don't depict that, or you don't even feel like that after. Every time you're alone with them or after they leave, you feel emptier than before, and you never feel satisfied. You never feel at peace. It's always anxiety. That was what I was experiencing, but my nervous system didn't even have the words for it because I didn't know. So we're gonna see that I'm gonna be in this relationship being loved wrong and consistently being embarrassed or cheated on. So he did that not once, not twice, but 3 times. The last one was, I think he was walking his ex-girlfriend down the hallway, and I was like, all right, this is kind of getting ridiculous. And this is uncomfortable. So I finally said enough was enough. And so I broke up with him. The lesson that I learned from that was love comes with conditions, and you have to realize the patterns early. It's how you feel about that person, how that person makes you feel, and what are their actions saying versus their words. It was a lesson that I learned later on in life, but it's the lesson that I can pull from the situation now. So it's gonna bring me into boyfriend number 2. We're gonna call him Peter. This is the best friend trap. This is the boy that was sitting in the best friend slot for a while, was very comfortable, knew me like the back of their hand. And disclaimer, ladies, I no longer allow men to be my friends because of this story. Sometimes some men will just sit in the proximity and the closest of you, and they'll learn so much about you and then weaponize that later for a relationship. And it's not fair. It's uncomfortable. And when you're a genuine lover girl, hence the title, serial lover girl, you don't see the traps that are around there sometimes. It can be very uncomfortable later on when you find out that this person learned so many vulnerable things about you. So high school boyfriend, we're going to be in an on and off relationship for about 6 years. They're going to use the best friend effect. At first, it was great. It was a beautiful relationship. I loved it. I have really good memories with this person, and they definitely shaped a lot of the decisions I made in my life, even me going to the military and just the life that I cultivated for myself and some of the experiences that I got to experience in life, and even the loss of my father being there for me. So beautiful thing, beautiful person, but there were just a lot of things that we did not know, and a lot of things that were meant to, there were a lot of learning curves that came that were unexpected for somebody who did not have enough relationship experience. So I'm gonna see a lot of mothering tendencies in this relationship and a lot of codependency. A lot of me taking control of certain things or handling certain things for this person, checking things off for this person, or making sure this person was always good. And I became a mother in the relationship. I became the person that always had to figure it out for this person when they messed up. And it got so consumingly tired. Do you see yourself in some relationships like that? Did that make you think of a moment where you feel like you're mothering your partner? And mothering and partnership don't go together. You were never designed to be a man's mother. You were designed to be their partner. You were designed to do life with them and add and complement each other's life. But 2 whole people coming together to be able to cultivate something that's worth building and staying for, because both of y'all are putting the effort in to add to each other's life. Adding value is the goal, not being the weight for all of the burden. So I learned that history equals compatibility, or history equals loyalty. Because I was with this person so long and because they were my best friend, I had to stay. I had to deal with the mistreatment. I had to deal with the disrespect. I had to deal with the lies, because ultimately, if I didn't, it means I didn't love this person. This person also taught me that if I didn't fight for somebody or argue with somebody, that also I didn't mean I didn't love them or I didn't care about them. So I learned a lot of toxic love traits in this relationship just because of how they were raised and how they were cultivated. This relationship was a beautiful relationship, but also a draining relationship. It was a relationship that was going to hold a lot of weight later on, and this relationship actually lasts from 15 to 21. And if y'all didn't hear my story, I got married at 21. So you can kind of imagine how each relationship kind of spiraled into the next, because I ultimately did not know how to be alone. The teaching point of this story was, just because someone knows you doesn't mean that they get the right to keep writing in your storybook. Sometimes we allow people that have been in our story and our characters and pages for so long to keep adding ink to pages that they weren't even allowed or supposed to be on. Sometimes the page or the story is supposed to end in that chapter with that person, and we keep adding them to the sequel that they were never included for. Remember when I said you were the co-author of your story? Well, that means you have an ultimate author. And the ultimate author for me is God. So I hope the ultimate author for you is God as well. Ooh, I gotta readjust y'all. Okay, Jesus. So we're gonna get into relationship number 3, the collector or the control illusion. Yeah, okay. So this one's a little bit more in my business. This one's a little bit more vulnerable. I was 19 or 20 at the time, I think, when I met this person. I had known this person when I was 14, 15, and 16. They were my neighbor, or in the vicinity of like where I lived for a long time. And we had cultivated our own relationship in the sense of they were just always really kind to me. They would pick me up from work. They would take me to school because sometimes, I couldn't get a ride and I was out of zone. So this person was very, very kind to me, always was sweet, and we just ended up losing contact after I graduated at 18, 19, and I hadn't seen them for a while until about 2021 or 20, I think I was about 20. So right after the last relationship, they end up reconnecting with me because I got a motorcycle, and we end up reconnecting, and they were talking about polyamorous. And I was in psychology for my bachelor's degree, so I was very intrigued because I had just wrote an essay about it. And sometimes the enemy will play on the opportunities or the doors that you allow to be opened. I was 19 or 20, and I had joined a relationship with a 29 and 31-year-old. And you couldn't tell me that I didn't have the control. I felt like after the last situation that I was in, where I felt like I had no control and somebody was always lying, manipulating, cheating, I finally had, I guess, the winning prize or the upper hand in life. I was joining this relationship. I had control if I wanted to continue dating other people. I had control if I wanted to be in the relationship or not be in the relationship. It felt so good to have this type of power. And that's what I thought. I really thought I had power. And then I also thought I have 2 people that love me, not just one. I'm doing better than somebody who's in a monogamous relationship. So now there's 2 people that are gonna love me. And I convinced myself this. I really, really did, until I found out what type of person this was going to turn out to be. So he was very manipulative. I didn't really know what manipulation looked like on full scale, but as I was getting older and I was in my psychology degree and I was starting to learn so much more about manipulation, relationships, or just studying people in general, I started to learn different things. And so I was able to recognize a little bit more that this relationship feels a little off, and the way that he talks, the way that he moves, it makes me feel some type of way. I was starting to get anxious in this relationship. I couldn't really pinpoint all of it. All I knew was that I just couldn't be 100% into it. I wasn't 100% invested. I kind of just had my eggs in multiple baskets. So I'm going to be in this relationship thinking that I'm preventing my pain ultimately. I'm in control and I have the power to be able to control how I feel, when I move, where I can go, and nobody can tell me anything. And the other woman in this relationship also is going to make me feel like I'm even in more control because she talks about how, well, I wish I would have told him that I wanted to still date other people, or I wish that I had that much freedom and control. So it just intensified this feeling of, finally, for once, somebody can't take advantage of me. I finally get a say. I finally get a voice. But that's not always what it's going to be. I'm actually going to find out that I didn't have much of control or a say as I want, because in reality, I was still in something that didn't serve me. I was in something that took away from a lot from me, and I actually left the church because I wanted to be in a polyamorous relationship. I was serving in my church and I was doing all of these things, but I also wanted what the world had to offer me at that time. And because I was so broken from the last few relationships, I was convinced that, okay, I have two people that are going to love me and this is going to be great. I have control, I have power, and now I get to move around how I want to move around, and they are in support of me. The teaching point here was going to be, trying to control love isn't love, and it's actually not as easy as you think. You can't control love, and that's not how it works. Love is never meant to be controlled. Love is meant to be experienced, but toxic love can be controlled. And a lot of people put labels on a lot of things and label it as love and call it love. But in reality, it's just manipulation and control with a fancy bow put on top of it to make you feel better. Where do you see that in your life? Is there a relationship right now that you're experiencing that gives you anxiety, that makes you question yourself? Are you more angry than happy? Are you always blowing up their phone? Are you always calling them? Every time your homegirls call, is that all you can talk about? These are the signs that you're in something that doesn't serve you anymore, but yet you're still pouring your energy into it. You're still adding your character to somebody else's book who's basically told you that your character isn't valuable enough. So when are you going to co-author your story enough for you to feel like you're worth something? Relationship number 4, we're going to get into the marriage, also known as vision. All right, so the church is going to push this marriage. I briefly talked about it in my second episode, so if you haven't heard it, please go look at it. And I was in a relationship, got married within 90 days. Completely insane in the sense of, I did not know this person. I knew the church, I knew the people that said they loved me, I knew his brothers, but I did not know this person. And I knew a version of this person, the version of this person that was popping up and showing up every day for me. The version of this person that was bringing me food and taking me out. The version of this person that was in love with the version of me that they were meeting. But that wasn't truly what it was all about. That wasn't the true depiction of this person, because this person, Vision, in my story, is looking at the end goal. They're looking at the idea of, if I can be with this person and if I can get this person, then eventually I will change. Eventually I'll be all of these things that I am right now. And it's kind of overwhelming to know that sometimes people don't realize that some of the best actors aren't in Hollywood. They're in our lives. They're in the world. They're all around us. And some people are acting, they don't even know that they're in a script because they don't know themselves or love themselves or even understand themselves. And that's kind of what the grace that I have in that situation. He didn't know himself, but I learned a lot in that relationship later on and through it, and still times today that I'm still learning lessons from being married. So one of the lessons that I thought was, I can love somebody so much that I can fix them. I believed in the fixer complex, or even if I'm being completely honest and I get uncomfortable with it, the savior complex. I really tried to be God. I tried to play God in other people's life. And this one might hit you a little bit, but sometimes you're your own narcissist. It is very narcissistic of us as people to believe that we can fix and make things that God hasn't even done. God gives free will, and with people's free will, they make the decisions that they want. So where in your life do you feel like you're trying to fix somebody that God hasn't even fixed? Or where in your own life have you chose to not be fixed because you got it figured out? Those are those hard truths that we have to really sit with. I was narcissistic because I believed that I could fix somebody and that I could love them to being whole. And I'm not God. nor should I ever put myself in a chair or position to believe that I can play God. So where are you playing God at in your life? One of the valuable lessons that I learned, though, is from a therapist. They gave me some really, really good advice. A person has to be willing and capable. You cannot have one without the other. Are they willing to make the changes? Are they willing to show up for you? Are they willing to buy you flowers? Are they willing to love you? Are they willing to respect you? And then are they capable of those things? What was their love like? What is their love language? How were they raised? What is their relationship with the people around them? A lot of times, if we think about it, we're most of the time capable of many things, but we're not willing to do them, or vice versa. We're willing to do it, but we might not have the capability or the capacity. So for anything to work out, a person has to be willing and capable. The last teaching point that I got from that is you can't love somebody into readiness. It's not a thing. And you cannot carry somebody that was meant to be walking. A lot of times we enable people with our own narcissistic abilities and tendencies to believe that we are helping or doing the work of God or the work of ourselves because we're pouring so much into them. This person was willing to not carry their weight. This person was willing to let me figure out the marriage by myself. And this person was willing to not try, not take their medicine, not go to counseling. That was what this person was willing to do. They were very much capable of it, but they weren't willing. But the beautiful thing is, sometimes you will see that there's always going to be a message out of any mess. So I'm thankful that they weren't willing and capable, so that now I'm able to help so many other people, and I had to even learn the lesson for myself. What am I willing and capable of dealing with in relationships? And I hope you can ask yourself that same question. Now we're in relationship number 5. We're gonna call him Thanos. If y'all know, Thanos ain't nothing good, y'all. This one, I'm just gonna have to smile my way through this one. I dated my first narcissistic, manipulative, evil person, and they were the sweetest human I had ever met. I mean, the most charming person I have ever met. They checked off every box. I was treated like a dandelion. I mean, the most fragile piece of glass from I never carried a bag, I never opened a door, I got tucked in at night type of just treatment, princess treatment to the extreme. And they were a serial cheater with over 10 different women. Lord, let's get into it. So I met somebody that's going to take advantage of me getting out of my relationship. They kind of knew a little bit of my story. They were just in proximity of some people that I was close to. And they were 41. They were older than me, 16 years older than me. They came in and they sold me a beautiful little dream on a platter. And I said it 1,000 times. I'm not naive. I'm not naive. I don't want to be a naive little girl dealing with an older man. And he ate that up. I mean, ate it up, left no crumbs. Have you ever had somebody lie to you that good? Because I've been telling some of my clients lately, let me lie to you like that man lied to you, because baby, that man lied to me dearly, okay? So if you see yourself in this, just buckle up, buttercup, because we've all been there. So love bombing was a thing, manipulation was a thing. I mean, in his pocket, anything I wanted, I got. If he could give me the world, he would sell it. And I genuinely thought that he was offering me the world. I genuinely thought this person had good intentions for me. And they did. As long as I was quiet, as long as I didn't know anything, and as long as they got to cheat on the side, like, we were great. This was one of those situations where you are literally living in a beautiful little world to yourself, and you would never think this person is doing dirty stuff on the side. And they were. I have to laugh about it now, but I had to learn. Unfortunately, when I did find out and I decided to choose me, because cheating is a non-negotiable for me, it should be a non-negotiable for you too, Buki, because every time you look at that man, why are we forgiving him? Because he lied to you. He didn't just cheat, he lied. He betrayed you. He wasn't honest. And this is the same person telling you he loved you. I wonder if he was telling her he loved her too. I just want you to sit with that, because that's what made me not go back, okay? You should not feel the way that you feel with this person. And in reality, without trust, you will never be able to be in a relationship with somebody else. And why would you want to be with somebody that treated you like that? Would you cheat on yourself? Or are you cheating on yourself so now you're susceptible to allowing somebody else to do it? Just questions, just questions. So the lesson that I'm gonna end up learning is trust your intuition. Like, I didn't need proof. I knew there was something off towards the end of the situation or the relationship for sure. And I just kept bringing it up to him. I kept saying, hey, I think something's off. Hey, this relationship or this friendship is making me a little bit uncomfortable. And I mean, just gave me all the speeches. I really wish I would have kept them because they were just beautiful speeches of lies. But they worked at the time. I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm just probably tripping. This isn't, you wouldn't do that to me. Why would I feel uncomfortable? But it got to the point where in one of his situations that he was okay with bringing me around the woman because he had coached her to not say anything so that I felt secure and comfortable in the situation. Wild, right? So we decided to move in together. The woman is gonna woman me. She's gonna text me. I'm gonna get the message, go through the whole spiel. I kick him out the next day, and I release a psychopath into my life that I will not know. I got called over 280 times. I had to get a new number. I had somebody pulling up to my house. I had somebody break a key into my lock. I had him break my windows. I had him break my doors. So it was just a great situation. And the worst part about it is I had a 60-year-old woman who's his mother on the phone telling me, please don't put my son in jail. Please don't put my son in jail. And I don't know about many of y'all, but in the Black and brown community, you try not to put Black men in jail. And I really did not want to put this man in jail. I genuinely just wanted him to stop. I'm going to regret not calling earlier because we're going to get to a point where I am running up 3 flights of stairs and my phone breaks and all these things. And it's just like having somebody ruin your safety, like knowing my regimen and knowing what I'm doing every day and knowing how I move and where I work is just not fair. Even knowing my friend groups. And eventually I had to get a whole new friend group, which was a beautiful thing in a sense, you know, but it's just the idea of even moving or cultivating your life around somebody else because of their instability to their decisions and you holding them accountable for it can kind of be a little hard sometimes because everybody can't handle the accountability, and he couldn't. The beautiful thing of the end of that story is I do eventually get that situation to end, and they do leave and go far, far away, and we never see that person again. So there's happy endings. But what I learned from this one is feeling off is proof. Sometimes we just have to understand that our body knows before we do, and we have to be okay with that. And I am very glad now that I am so in tune with my body and who I am as a person that when something feels off, I believe myself the first time. It is learning to trust yourself. And if you don't remember, I always say you are your first liar, but what if you could be your first truth teller, your first indicator of truth? And now we're gonna get to that last relationship. Number 6, Steve, or the mirror is what I'm gonna call that too. So this is gonna be the healthiest relationship that I've pretty much experienced in my life. This was just a really good example of bad timing. I met them outside of their relationship that they had just got out of, and it's going to put him in a sticky predicament, unfortunately, as well as I had just got out of my own relationship, but both of us are used to being in a relationship, so we hop into another one. And we just end up cutting each other. It's 2 broken pieces of glass. Even though they're good people and they have good intentions, we just end up cutting each other. As we're healing, we're still cutting each other and causing so many scars for the other person because your triggers or my triggers or the things that you're trying to work through bother me, vice versa. It gets a little uncomfortable in that relationship. I learned a lot though from this relationship because it was the mirror. I learned what true relationships are supposed to look like. I learned that a relationship is actually supposed to challenge you and pull out things inside of you. Relationships are supposed to make you a little bit uncomfortable and make you see yourself. Relationships also, good healthy relationships, are supposed to make you want to grow to be a better person or a better woman. Because throughout that relationship, all I remember is both of us saying, like, I just want to be a better person for not only myself, but for you. And that is what a true relationship does, is wanting to add a value and add, what is the word I'm looking for? Add a value and add stability works. Add value and add stability to the relationship because the foundation is 2 whole people that are coming together to complement each other's life, not to be a liability. So the question is the person that you're dealing with, whether a situationship or a relationship or a friendship or, you know, anything of those sorts, are they a liability or an asset? Are they draining you? Or are they adding value to you? Wait, even better. If you were right now to call them and you needed something, would they come through for you? Or scratch that. If you took away the vices, whether it was sex, drugs, liquor, gossiping, would you still be able to sustain that relationship with that person? Do you even like that person when you're not high or drunk? Or do you even like that person when they're fully clothed? Those are questions to ask. And a lot of times you'll be able to expose certain things about you that you didn't even know. Do you even like yourself when you're not intoxicated or drugged or high? If you don't like you, how can you expect somebody else to like you? But also, if you don't like you, why are you connecting with other people? All right. Woo. You gotta get comfortable. All right. So we're gonna see a lot of patterns in here. And y'all, I'm gonna actually have to lean on my notes a little bit because I wanna make sure I'm talking about all the patterns that we're seeing in this relationship. So the first one that I'm gonna see is, what I see in all of them is running from myself. I'm gonna see running from myself in each relationship and running into the next relationship, thinking I was gonna find myself in another person. I'm gonna see codependency, me being codependent on them as well as them being codependent on me. It's gonna be that leverage effect. It's gonna be that I need you. I need you in my life. I need you to do this for me. I need you to pour into me. I need you to breathe. It kind of goes into that very toxic saying of life of, I want to be drunk in love, like Beyonce said, or I want to be crazy in love, or I want to fall in love. But I don't even want that anymore. I want to walk in love. I want to choose love. I want to float into love. I want to swim into love. Love is a choice. You don't just slip and fall into love. It's an investment of your time, your energy, your feelings, and your commitment. So whatever isn't pouring into that, you should probably steer clear of that, because you're allowing yourself to fall into something that was never designed for you to fall into. I'm also going to see trauma bonding over traumatic events, traumatic stories, whether it's my childhood or certain things that I've experienced with other people. It wasn't a relationship that was really meant to cultivate anything. It was a relationship that I was leaning on because it felt good and because we went through such a hard life together or experienced something rough together. And that's not even healthy. Because outside of that vice, because trauma bonding is still a vice, outside of that trauma, I probably would have never been connected to you. And one of the lessons that will go with that is, most people would have never had access to the broken version of you if you were never broken. Sometimes the broken version of us experience things that we would never put ourselves under if we were the whole healed version of ourselves. So when you're operating in your brokenness day after day after day, you are literally attracting those type of things and people. And that's why a lot of times people think like, why am I attracting these type of men? Why am I attracting these type of friendships? Why am I attracting so much negativity and bad things? But it's because your mind is a garbage can picking up all of the negativity and the clutter and all the things that you have not dealt with or healed with. So you're going to try to find whatever is going to heal or bandage or package it and make it feel better. A lot of times we're being sold escapism instead of creating a life and curating something that we actually can live with, which is the life that we have. And it's a gift. So take control of it. The other thing I'm going to see is core beliefs that I'm going to end up really, really having for a long time. And I really only think I recently got rid of it within the last year myself, is love is earned and not received. For so long, I worked for the love around me. And I just felt like I was on a 24/7 shift of proving that I was worthy of somebody's love, worthy of the value. And I bet you do too. I bet you're sitting there right now like, man, I know exactly how she feels. I've been there. I've had all of these boxes that I had to check off to believe that I was worthy of being loved. And I just want to tell you that you are worthy of being loved. As is, right now, you don't have to earn anything from anybody. Love is a gift that is freely out there in the world, and there are people that will just love you for being you and showing up as you. But that doesn't give you an excuse to just show up as anybody and just show up as the half version of you. A lot of people like to quote for better, for worse in vows, and that for worse does mean through thick and thin, but it also means that you have the willpower and the capability of pulling yourself out of that in certain seasons. So give those vows to yourself and understand, hey, there's seasons and pockets, but it's not meant for me to sit in. But you are still worthy of the love. Each person taught me something. 4 of them taught me not what to do, and 2 of them taught me what to do. Overall, the overall message of that though is to trust myself, to stop being my first liar, because I didn't believe in myself for so long, and because I was such a liar to myself, I couldn't trust myself. I couldn't trust when my nervous system was already telling me stuff that I didn't know. My intuition was already thrown off, and it even got to the point that I was praying to God and he was saying something, but I didn't even trust that I was hearing him. I couldn't trust myself. I couldn't trust what I was hearing. I couldn't trust what I was feeling because I was my biggest liar. So, are you done being yours? So, the overall lesson on that is going to be you have gotten the same patterns and the same lessons in different bodies, whether they're 5 feet, 6 foot, brown skin, dark skin, white skin, it don't really matter. You have literally seen the pattern in different bodies, and yet you're still in the cycle. So the teaching moment was, it's time to break the cycle. It was the last message or the last person per se, Steve, that helped me to break out of the paradox or the matrix that I had myself in for so long. The ultimate truth of I didn't like myself at one point in time to believe that I needed these relationships to keep me functioning. And if you remember my origin story, it goes back to me not liking the version of me that I was as a little kid. And I still thought that that was the truth all the way up to adulthood. And because I was using the same pattern of being in a relationship after relationship, I didn't even realize that I had really gotten out of that. I wasn't really still stuck in that pattern. I wasn't really still stuck in that lesson. It was just something that needed to break to let me know that, Nesha, you're a safe space and you can be alone. You can be with yourself. And sometimes that relationships don't always have to be romantic. They can be platonic. You can date your friends. You can have communities, social clubs, all of these things, like church community, friend groups, book clubs, like finding things that I was interested in and learning who I was. And if I'm being completely honest, I fell in love with myself. I love who I am today. I love being around myself. I love the silence of myself. I love the way I think. I love my quirkiness. I love who NeshaDanay is. I love her so much to the point that I started believing in her and even cultivating a business around her stories, around her ideas, around her ideologies. And I turned my mess into a message. I became the co-author of my story because all of these relationships at one point in time had a pen. And if I'm being honest, no director wants all of these people in their script like this. I shouldn't have had that many people with the script. My book was only meant for 2 people to have the pen, God and myself. But sometimes we find ourselves giving up our autonomy, our control to be valued in other people's story. So I'm going to let you write the character in the way that you want it to so that I'm easily digestible unto you. So are you easily digestible for everybody else? Do you see yourself dimming your light because, girl, what are you doing? Like, get out of that. You are so much better than anything that you can limit yourself to do. You have a ceiling on your own life, your own limitations. You don't have to be stuck in that relationship. You don't have to be stuck at that job. You don't have to be stuck in that depression. First of all, if we're being honest, it's only a state of mind and it's an action that you keep pouring into. But find yourself, find the things that matter for you and to you, and find community, find people, find friends, find who you really are outside of all of the other things. So we got some reflection questions. Okay, so I want you to sit with these. If you have the opportunity, grab a journal, put them in your notes. I want you to send these to people. You should send this to your friends, anybody you're talking to, anybody that means something to you. Have them reflect with you. I think this is a great conversation to have at the table with people and just cultivate so much community in the sense of how people think. So let's get into it. Question 1, what patterns are you repeating? Question 2, who are you trying to fix? Question 3, what is your intuition telling you? And question 4, what would you do if you knew that you were enough? I know that one sits and hits, But that's the point. The questions are uncomfortable. They're supposed to kind of sit in the back of your mind or hit the bottom of your stomach, because that's what this is about. Uncomfortable growth is what you need, because we cannot continue to be okay with familiar bondage. It feels good on the outside, but leaves you depleted on the inside. That's not how life was ever meant to be. You have to be okay with growing, changing, evolving. Nature does it, the world does it, the seasons do it. You have to be okay with shedding versions of yourself and learning the new version of yourself. And that only comes in growth. So if you're tired of being in this familiar bondage, I mean sick and tired of being sick and tired and overwhelmed and disgusted with the version of you, or you just like, I don't really know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't have community. I don't have friends. Like, I hear what you're saying. You're saying, get all these things, do all these things, but how? How do you find them? Where do you go? I got you. I created a program called Mind Rescue. I am the founder of Selfishly Growing. It is my life coaching program, and I have a 4-week course that I do, and I want you to be a part of it. I select 15 women, so there is an application to do, and everybody does not get to work with me, because in reality, everybody doesn't want to do the work, and I'm not meant to carry your weight. You're not going to be one of these 6 relationships that I've been in that was toxic and was making me carry all the weight for you, when I've already created the program for you. I create the workbook. I created the assignments. I created the community. I literally log in with you and we talk about all of these things. And not only that, but I give you a group of women around you that get to help you and assist you and talk about what they're going through. You're going to get friends from this. You're going to get community from this. You're also going to get a pattern and strategy and tools that are going to literally take you from this level of lowness and lack and poverty mindset to abundance. So why wouldn't you want to sign up faster? Why wouldn't you want to put your application in? Why wouldn't you want to be one of the 15 women? Because if we're being honest, those 15 slots are going to fill up really quick, because somebody is going to see their mess in this message and say, I'm tired of being tired. So are you going to be tired of being tired too? So thank y'all so much for sticking with me all the way through this episode. This has been one for the books for sure. I just gave y'all all my business. So I hope that y'all like and comment below, engage with the content. Let me know what y'all think about it. Let me know if you've seen yourself. And if you're even bold enough, let me know if there were some questions on there that you have, or there were questions that you answered and what you put on them. As always, you are either a lesson or a blessing. And if you're lucky, you're both. But as always, continue growing. And thank you for watching. I Am My First Project.